Buenos días, soy Fina Ferre, directora de Aquiara. Somos una consultora formada por un amplio equipo de profesionales comprometidos socialmente que hemos ido creciendo a lo largo de los años de la mano de proyectos exigentes, marcas de primera línea y grandes multinacionales. Apostamos por el trabajo en red, apostamos por un método de trabajo cooperativo, porque creemos que cuidar de nuestra sociedad es una responsabilidad compartida. Por eso nuestra consultora destina íntegramente sus beneficios a poner en marcha proyectos de ayuda y transformación social. Somos especialistas en comunicación, en formación y en desarrollo empresarial y personal. Juntos trabajamos para nuestros clientes en nuestras áreas de Essential Branding, Essential Business y Essential Projects. Ayudamos a las marcas y a las empresas a que destaquen por todo aquello que las hace únicas, su esencia. Somos la consultora de aquello que realmente importa. Somos, en esencia, cuidadores. Dentro de nuestra área Essential Business, cuidamos a fundadores, directores generales y equipos directivos que quieren mejorar sus resultados empresariales. Gracias a nuestra metodología, creada por nuestros especialistas en desarrollo empresarial y personal, transformamos organizaciones y generamos liderazgos auténticos que convierten tu proyecto empresarial en un referente único, sostenible y feliz, aumentando las ventas y mejorando la rentabilidad, la productividad y las relaciones humanas. Una de las herramientas que utilizamos en nuestra metodología para mejorar los resultados empresariales son las constelaciones organizacionales. Las constelaciones organizacionales son una herramienta altamente eficaz porque nos permite en muy poco espacio de tiempo situarnos como observadores de todas aquellas situaciones problemáticas que impiden que nuestras organizaciones fluyan hacia el éxito. Es a partir de poder mirar, de poder tener atención y conciencia en esas situaciones que podemos pasar, entrar en un ámbito de solución y entrar en un proceso de mejora cualitativa y cuantitativa de los resultados de nuestras empresas. Los próximos 17, 18 y 19 de marzo tendremos el privilegio de contar con uno de los profesionales más destacados dentro del mundo de las constelaciones organizacionales, el maestro Satyarthi. Él lleva más de 20 años impartiendo talleres y formaciones en constelaciones y uno de los ámbitos en los que se ha especializado es en las constelaciones empresariales. Queremos ofreceros en uno de esos 3 días un espacio para vosotros. Para ello necesitamos que podamos estar con vosotros, que podáis compartir con nosotros, que podáis compartir conmigo cuáles son aquellos problemas, aquellas situaciones que queréis mirar para poder disponer del espacio suficiente para entrar en un ámbito de solución y de crecimiento. Hace un par de días, nuestro compañero Ramón Solé, del equipo Aquiara, hizo una entrevista al maestro Satyarthi en nuestras oficinas y quiero compartir con vosotros esa entrevista. Os voy a dejar con ella, antes agradeciéndoos, por supuesto, la atención que me habéis prestado y nos vemos muy prontito. Muchísimas gracias.
Hello, Satyarthi. Good morning. Thanks for coming.
Good. Happy to be here.
Thank you. I would like to ask you to introduce yourself for those who doesn't know you. Just could you tell them who is Satyarthi? What do you do?
Who is Satyarthi? Always in the flow. Now that's a very complex question. But if you want to have a little bit of my background in the work of, let's say, family constellations, therapeutic work in general. Okay. About organizational constellations, I started working with Hellinger somewhere around the 90s, middle 90s. And then when Gunther Weber started to develop organizational constellations, I participated with him a little bit and learned how organizations and family structures basically overlap sometimes. How that also how the family system affects organizations, businesses. And that was very interesting. Later, what was very important for me was go on learning, Schubert-Hellinger with different other teachers, and now in the last 10-15 years, since neuroscience comes up on the horizon and psychology becomes less important, and the functioning of the body and the nervous system becomes so important for us right now, and with trauma therapy. So I went a lot in the last 10 years, very deeply into that. Did a bunch of somatic experience trainings, developmental trauma in family systems and institutions like military, police and whatever. So I work with trauma therapy and systemic therapy, and I can apply that in organizations and do apply that in organizations. So the basic thing for me that is very important is the relationship work between people, which basically forms organizations and forms the strength and the force of the organization. My early background is bioenergetic, Gestalt, Osho. I lived many years in India with him, in the United States, in England.
Okay.
If you think this is Satyarthi, okay.
It's a nice background.
Basically, Satyarthi is always changing.
Okay.
And he is not very important.
What it comes to today, in the field of organizational constellations, what do you think they can apport to an organization?
What do you mean by apport?
What can a person or an organization that wants to do a constellation and they don't really know what is it, what would you tell them? How would you explain it? Which benefits, which contribution, added values that can, what can a constellation do for them?
It can change their perspective radically about the structure of the organization, how the organization is structured, about the individual positions in the organization, about their behavior with each other and towards, let's say, goal-oriented work. When I say about, also about themselves, you know, who am I and where do I come from? A family or organizational constellation doesn't only work with the present. In the present, where you are right now, where you're positioned in the organization, surely your whole background affects your way of looking, the way you see other people, the way you relate to other people, the way you feel with them, from your guts, from your body. And so depending on the support that you had in your family, depending on the security that you had in your family of origin, where you come from, mother, father, the education that you had, the way you were educated, this affects your place that you occupy in the organization and from that place, the way you relate. Okay?
So
that was no a big complex answer for your small question.
The way you describe it, it seems that it's a very important personal background of the person. It's not only about the organization, but also about the person, the individual facts. Also.
The belief that an organization functions like a machine, it's a little old, and that we are part in a machine. You know, let's say we are more part of an organism. You know, that permanently changes, permanently grows, and is very flexible. And from that perspective, every individual needs nourishment, you know, and needs support, security, needs to be seen in his needs. It needs to be responded to. If there is nothing like that, if you're just parts of machinery, then it's. I don't like that word human resource, for example. Yeah, a resource sounds like you can exploit it, and then when it's empty, you throw it away. You know, but if you nourish that resource, if you respond to his needs, you know, then it will grow. The creativity will grow. The curiosity about oneself and about what is needed for the business will grow.
So, in this way, do you think it is a need of a kind of point of view for the organization that wants to do the constellation? Do they need a particular point of view about the organization or the business?
As I say,
anyone, I mean, like
point of
anyone
views
can do it, or they have to have a particular point of view?
No. I mean, you go to family of two organizational constellations or family constellations because there's a certain need. There is a motivation. No? You sense that there is a lake, that there is something is missing, something is not flowing, something is not happening the way it should happen, and that inspires you, and that brings you curiosity. What's going on? And that's always a good point. That's always a good point. And if this is responded to in a way, not like that you have a problem, but feeding that curiosity, yeah, saying yes, yes, this question is good, and let's inquire that together. Let's go into the jungle and feel how it is to be in there and encounter what is going to happen next. The jungle might be your proper body, might be your attitude, might be your behavior, it might be memories, yeah. Like in the body has memories, the intrinsic memories, yeah. The mind forms its memories through the body. It comes from feet up, right? So most of our perspectives that we have in life, they come feet up. And we see people, we relate people through the body, and the input that comes from outside through the eyes, or the body responds to that, and then the mind forms its, let's say, behavior to that in the memory and responds, but he responds mostly out of the past, and we can inquire that only in the present. with somebody. But I cannot tell you what to do. I can only ask you how you feel right now and what's happening. And then you can go on inquiring and be curious about yourself, about your organization, how we relate together, how the family, a business is a family. You can say that. No? And the basis of Bert Hellinger and of Gunther Weber was the structural organization within a family, the hierarchy, father, mother, then children. In a business, it's the boss, the founder, the guy that gives the money, right? And then the next, what you call this, the different departments, the workers in that departments. But the whole thing is like, it's a big family, and they're relating with each other. They're all relating. And if one, let's say the boss doesn't really take his place as boss, and he's more in Hawaii than with his co-workers, and does it all over telephone, the whole thing becomes a little anonymous. You need to meet sometimes to feel each other, to spark this inspiration, this curiosity about new projects, about how can we develop personally and in cash or in expansion.
It sounds to me
a
like
business gets babies, like a woman does. Money does get babies, like, you know, it's abundance. It's all abundance.
It sounds like bringing life, showing, put the light on the life of a systemic part of the organization. The way you are speaking, it sounds to me like how can the organization see the life that it's inside itself?
It's in a life thing. That, yeah.
Okay, what kind of contents can be raised, can be worked in a constellation?
The question, you mean what can be
what can be
the issue?
Issue, yeah.
You let's say you have a printing business. You copy things and you work with that, and somebody comes to you and says, hey, look, I have a problem in my business. This machine doesn't work. It just doesn't print. The guy that is taking care of it constantly comes to me and says, kaput, one more time. You know, it's just not working. And you can work with that. You can work with the guy that has a relationship to this machine, right? That keeps breaking down. And then, sure, the manager of the business or the boss, the owner of the business. And you probably find out that there is somewhere within the business also, let's say, a disorder, be an okay way to say that, or the dynamics are not flowing, something, and then you can go and discover and go inquire in the relationships, inquire within also the tools that they buy, the way they buy them, the machines they're using, you know, and whatever. It can be anything. The motive can be a machine.
Okay, anything is possible.
Anything. Yeah, the money doesn't flow. We make money. We make a lot of money, but it doesn't stay in the business. It always goes out the back door. You know, and we don't make capital to invest. You know.
And do they need to do a previous work before doing a constellation? How does it work when they call you and say, hey, Satyarthi, can you work with us? Do they ask them to do something?
Yeah, I mean, anybody that has the inspiration to inquire, to curiosity about his business and about himself and colleagues and so on, has probably done already a little bit of who am I, you know, and maybe he's gone beyond or gone a little bit further than I am only that manager. I'm not only the father of this child and only the man of the second woman that I'm married to, but also there's some aliveness or there's something. So you inquire a little bit more on who you really are, yeah, and about your psychological background, about your bodily well-being, yeah.
Okay.
No, but it's not a necessity that you know anything about yourself, but you will find out lots about yourself and about your relationship with life in general, with your colleagues and with life in general. I mean, this kind of work can really, really change your perspective and put you in a new direction and motivate you. And it has to do with joyfulness, no? With curiosity about life, about living together. And it's nothing political here. It's not like that we want to change anybody or that we want to make something, that we want to create a better world. It might be really necessary, but it's not the goal. The goal is like, what's going on right now, and how do we feel in that? And what is it that we really need in the business to prosper? Whether it's capitalism or socialist or whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. There is no political motivation in that whole spiel. It's simply a curiosity inquiry.
Okay. Talking about curiosity, I think some of the people who are watching this, maybe they want to know how does it work, constellation, in a practical way. How does it develops the work when you do the organizational constellation?
Again, since we are related, you can say we are born, and we are, this is a fact, we are born with the need, the absolutely need. It's an essential survival need. We are born, and in our brain and in our body there is, let's say, a natural instinct that wants to relate. The baby is born, and the first thing it does, it looks around. The only thing that it can move is the eyes, and it looks for contact. If the baby doesn't have that contact, it collapses. It collapses into a kind of, I don't exist. And it's not that the baby knows that, it's the organism knowing that. Yeah? So it goes in a kind of coma. And if this happens, it affects your life.
Sure.
And your way of relating. So, so we live all our life, whether man, woman, father, child, we live all our life in this essential need to relate. What that does, it creates a kind of campus. It's a Spanish word, no? Campus.
Yeah, campo.
It creates a kind of field, yeah, in which we feel we are connected and we belong. And this field has a very, it's very intense. For children, it's the most important thing, that they feel they belong and they will come in that field, and they have a place in there, a secure place. Same thing with businesses. If the employer doesn't feel secure in his place that he occupies, if the boss doesn't give this, the chef or the Yeah? Doesn't give this place to him and say, this is your place and you occupy that and you can explore that and you can discover yourself in that and you will be rewarded for that. The same thing for children. They need to know, I belong here. That creates an energy field. And we work with that energy field. And we use, when we get together in groups, what we do, we are like, whatever people are there, 10, 15, 20 people that want to explore. The main thing is, in every of this group, is what happens in a room stays in the room. It doesn't get outside. Nobody talks about it outside. You can talk about your proper experience, how you felt, but you don't talk about other people. And it's an agreement that we make.
Does everybody knows who's representing, who's...
You can make that, yeah, one moment. We didn't cover that thing about being representative in a constellation. So for the family, for the business, what we do, we take, let's say, a person from this 20 people, we take that person, put him in a place and say, you are number one. Okay. You are the boss or whatever. And you are number two. There would be the manager. And then the next department, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And the funny thing is that somehow the people that represent the person in the constellation, we call this constellation, in that field, they feel exactly what's going on in that business and they follow that impulses. How that works, physics knows, mathematicians, they discovered it, how it works, how we are interrelated, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm not so much a mathematician or a physician, like natural science, yeah, physics, but I can observe that it works. And that then from these impulses that the people follow within this dynamics in the business, we can discover solutions. Solutions for, let's say, parts that are missing, parts that need to be changed, parts that need to be overworked in some way or other.
This way of working for some people might sound surprising, or
in the beginning because using representatives for somebody it's surprising that he uses sometimes the same words, not knowing the person that he is standing for, that he is representing in the constellation. He has the same symptoms. Let's say you lost, your chef doesn't have, lost his arm in the Second World War, or he was a Vietnam veteran and was only half a leg. The guy is standing in the constellation and feels like he has only half a leg, and he doesn't know that this is the case with the guy that sits in the chair.
Yeah, this is incredible.
This is very incredible. But from that point of view, I stopped looking for mathematical reasons how that could be possible. But there's people that have actually done that and figure it out. Yeah. And I'm not so much in quantum physics and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't interest me at all.
No,
it's interesting, but
I think it's very special work, no? And for some people it's very spectacular to see what happens.
It's very powerful, very powerful. It's not religious, okay? It has no esoteric or spiritual back thing there. Lots of people do that. It just has nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. It's just very, very natural.
Okay.
And very simple.
Yeah. while you are working, when you
Yeah.
put the representatives there, everything, what is the manager of the organization and the people who asks for it? What do they do? What is their role while the work is going on? What should they?
This,
something?
let's say, you're working only with the director, and he brings 5 or 6 of his employees. And if he doesn't want his personal story to be, let's say, exposed in front of his employees, and without sending the employees out, I would have to have a private talk with the director of the business, and then say, okay, in case your family comes in, your background, yeah, then we have 1, 2, 3. This would be father, mother, and your older brother.
Okay.
And 4 would be you. In the business, we would do the same. You know, you are number 1, da 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 da, and this stays between you and me. You know who is who, but your employees don't know. But why should you do that? You know, why should? Then also the question comes: what kind of a relationship does this boss have, or this director, or this have with his? Yeah? But it's okay. I mean, if he has, if he needs that, it's okay. We can start there.
Can you tell us about what do they do? The people that come to the constellation, what is their role? What they are doing while the constellation is going on?
Yeah, this question about what is their role while the constellation goes on.
Yeah.
You sit there in the beginning. I mean, first we have a little talk, no, about what is the situation, what is the situation in the business, and then they can watch the movements, the dynamics, and they probably will go, wow, you know, yes, this is what I observe, but I don't know how to deal with it. And then we can go on talking here on the side. The constellation goes on. We can check, how do you feel with it, and what would you like to change right now, and what would you feel is good, you know, and we can discover new strategies to deal with an old, static, fixed pattern that keeps repeating.
So you can do all this while the constellation
is going on.
You can check and try.
And you can take the person that is doing the constellation for himself. You can bring him in, yeah, and only as long as he feels good in there. When he feels like it's overwhelming, this is too much exposure for me, I don't want. Okay, man. Put your limits, and put your limits, and make sure that you stay in a secure field. I take you out. Tell me, I take you out, and I can also see that because I'm in communication with you. So I take you out, and we keep on watching. We calm down the nervous system, we recycle the old stuff, discharge some old energy, some old, you know, where you've been holding for many years. Probably also symptoms, like physical symptoms, increased breathing, short breathing, all heartbeats, digestion problems, and so on, to years of stressful holding on, you know.
So do they have to do something after the constellation? Because you're saying it can make many changes and symptoms. So what do they do after?
Yes, years of repetitive static patterns do create symptoms. No, the body is not constructed for constant stress, constant holding on, constant disorientation, or fixed fixed orientation. The body is not built for that. It's just not. And it's unnatural for our, just watch around, look around in nature, animals. Just go take a break in a safari in Africa, watch the lions, Yeah, okay. Then after the constellation, that was your question, right?
They can expect everything is going to get on their place by itself. So how is they have to?
The thing is this: once you got the pattern that you are running on, and you have a taste of how it could be. Then you have a counterpart. That means in the background, here in the front you're still running maybe an old pattern, but in the background there's something lurking that you haven't known before, which constantly will interfere, and it will constantly say, I could do it different. I could do it different right now. And eventually you will go in action. You will go in action and you will communicate. You will open the window a little bit, and if it gets too much you can close it, and you open it again, and maybe a little more. I can hold it. It is possible. It is possible to actually build, to hold success, sustain success, sustain a lot of money, a lot of responsibility, and maybe deep, intimate relationships.
So it has to do about the rhythms, as you are saying.
In the beginning, if we never had contact with success, or let's say you are a very successful person, but you don't know how to sustain relationships, you are kind of avoiding relationships. You have your $1 billion somewhere stashed and live in your, but how to sustain a good relationship with your colleagues. Not a platonic way, but really, a joyful way. That's important. That's important for your health. Money, you might change one day, you might change your kidneys, they run out, or you might change there possibly will grow intestines, artificial intestines, but still you're not happy, You cannot buy everything with money. It's good, but also you like to enjoy that money, You like to live it, So this, after the constellation, probably the impulse to do something is much bigger.
Okay.
It's much bigger. There's a drive suddenly. You have something that it's like you have opened a little door, you have looked through the window and you have seen, I have more capacity, I have more possibilities than I thought I do. You got to feel for it, and that will motivate you. Will not leave you alone. And it happens by itself. It happens in the body. It happens in your brain. Your brain makes new synapses. Your limbic brain opens a little bit, and this reptilian brain that always was like looking for danger, looking for survival, slows down a little, and the limbic brain goes a little bit more into connection, socializing a little. And it's more.
It's possible also to have an instant effect, because what you say, it sounds like something that is going on and going on and growing. It's also possible to have both kind of changes, one more suddenly, more explosive, another more like rhythm, slowly. This impulse that you're talking about is going on, you're like opening.
Maybe something can suddenly change. If you have like a director, his what's the guy below the director? The manager of the department, and you have one employee, two employees with you, and you work directly with their relationships. Maybe it's the first time they walk out of the door, you know, and they say, hey guys, let's go to the bar and have a whiskey, a gin tonic, and take some refreshments and enjoy it. They have never done that before.
Okay.
You know? And things like this happen, and it affects you. It affects you. Your nervous system slows down. It relaxes. It's like a meditation over gin tonic. Nothing serious.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and I think we've spoken about a little bit of everything. I don't know if you have any suggestion, any idea that you think it's important, or for someone that don't know it or is thinking about doing a constellation.
If you think about it, go and do it. Go and do it. Waste a little bit of money, or maybe you make $1 million with just doing it once. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like this impulse that you say before this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aim to know.
Yeah, look, man. If you have a business that is where you feel like I make a good money on this side, but on the other side I lose it, right? It's worth investigating it. It's really worth investigating it, and maybe if you lose there's so much money on the other side, you walk out of a constellation and you realize I have to let go of that, and that probably is enough for me. You save a lot of money. You pay €500 for a constellation, or I don't know how much it costs. I get my share. I'm happy about that. But you probably save much more money by looking at the dynamics within that business than not doing it. You know, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I have never seen that it doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's clear, nice. It sounds
Good.
a
Thank
nice
you.
thing to try and investigate. Thanks a lot for coming, for attending, and
Yeah, I hope you had a good time.
nice.
I
Same
enjoyed
for you.
it. Thank you very much.